Hey everybody, it's Joe the Naturalist here, and I'm going to be showing you the amazing Jenny Jump State Park. It's here in Warren County, New Jersey, and I'm really excited to show you this. This has been an awesome childhood park that's really close to my home and really close to my heart. It has some amazing mysteries and folklore and awesome fungi and lichens that I really want to show you. So come along with me, I'll show you. Already getting frozen out here, but it's still a great day to be out here. In fact, usually after rain is when we find the most fungi. So a little bit about this place. This park is an 8-mile stretch of mountains that are part of the Atlantic Highlands, which is a mountain range that goes from Virginia all the way to Vermont. It's a really, really ancient mountain range that were formed by glaciers that carved out this area and made these amazing rock structures. Most of these rock structures are made of granite and gneiss being a form of pressurized granite. And we'll take a closer look in a bit, but that's kind of how this area is made. Right here, we have some wood ferns. These guys are complete evergreen. They stay green the whole entire winter. It's actually pretty cool. If you take a close look at it, you can see some spores that are growing down there. Like, really, they don't really produce seeds like the rest of the plants. They have a very interesting way of reproducing. Very similar to fungi, but that's how they do it. So this is one of my favorite shelf fungi right here. This is called turkey tail, kind of because it looks like a turkey tail. It has this cool layering on it. It's pretty neat. Has a lot of different variations in color. It looks like in here there might be another kind of fungus that's growing in the rim. So it's fungus on fungus here, just kind of hanging out. It's funny how they live in here. Squishy and kind of gross looking, but you kind of see why it's called witch's butter. That's actually attached to that. They're just decomposing the log, just as all fungi should. Well, not all fungi, because we're going to learn about some fungi that don't do that. These glacial rocks are just covered in mosses and lichens. So you just see that over here, the more flatter stuff here is all lichen, and then this more green fibrous stuff that's growing here, that's all moss. These are a lot of different species here. The difference between moss and lichen is that lichen is actually two organisms in one. Lichen is algae and fungi all living together in a sort of symbiotic relationship, which means they both mutually get something out of the relationship that they're living together. However, moss is actually just an ordinary plant. They both do perform photosynthesis, which means that they're getting energy from the sun, and they use that to make nutrients and food for them. So yeah, we got plenty of those on all these rocks out here. Just, they're completely covered. It's so cool. Woo, we're almost to the top. Oh my goodness. Long way up here. Oh, this is my favorite view. Here we go. Amazing view out here. I just love it. Have some nice red cedars and a fantastic view of the rocks here. We got plenty of lichens to look at. Lots of different kinds just kind of mixing up here. Let's take a look at that. So basically the case with lichens is that the outside that we see here is the actual fungi. So the fungi creates the structure of what the entire lichen is made of. But on the inside is the algae. Now, we know a lot of different kinds of algae. We know kelps and seaweeds that are found in the oceans, and algae that we basically find in our fish tank. So in here, they all have that kind of green chlorophyll that they use to perform photosynthesis. So inside, they perform that photosynthesis to give nutrients to themselves and also the lichen. So they're basically giving that energy and nutrients. They also do nitrogen fixation. which allows to take nitrogen from the air and turn that into ammonia, which is something that they use in their life cycles. So the fungi gives the structure and the shelter for the algae, and the algae gives the nutrients and the nitrogen fixation for them to both live, which shows that this is a mutualistic relationship of symbiosis, of organisms living together and working together as throughout their life cycle. And you can't find one without the other. There's individual species that can be found with each different kind between the fungi and the algae. So that's why you see like there's different kinds of, there's some darker ones here, there's some gray ones, we got some greenish ones here just kind of growing on these rocks. Well, they kind of make a mosaic of sorts. It's so cool. We have lots of really cool different kinds here. Here we have Folius, which the thing about Folius is that they have a distinct top side and underside. Here we have one that's very distinct because it has a black underside and like the nice olivey green top. You can also see on what's called shield lichen often, this green stuff, it also has like that kind of flaky look, the top side and the underside. But even closer, we have Crustose, which is really, really tiny. It's kind of hard to see there. It's that gray stuff there. That's Crustose. So those are the two different forms, but there's also one more that we don't really have here. We might find it later on, but that's Fruticose, which is usually hair-like or has stalks. After further analysis, here's another tree with that similar scraping on it, but this, as you can see, goes a lot higher. So you can see it goes all the way up there. So this is looking very similar to what I saw earlier, what I thought was deer like rutting and using their antlers on it, but this is going way too high like for that. So what I'm thinking, this is my theory, this is probably the work of a porcupine here, because porcupines love to climb on the bark and really chew that off with their front incisors. They're rodents, so they really like to chew on that and be able to eat the stuff. You can see they've got some remnants down here, just of like stuff they were kind of peeling off and left a mess. But this is definitely the work of a climbing creature that was able to climb all the way up to the top and like chew on that. Love that. Check this out. Got some scat here. Definitely looks like a carnivore. If you look closely, you can actually see some hair still in there. So I'm probably thinking this is like a small carnivore. The main carnivores that we have out here are bears, foxes, and coyotes. But for this size, and usually due to abundance, I'd definitely say this is probably a fox. Just probably sitting up here, leaving his business. It's exactly how, even when there's not many animals out, you could look for signs of what they do and what species are around here. So it's really helpful. Let's keep on going. See, even in winter, it's still got plenty of green here. Just thanks to that lichen. It's grown everywhere. You see it on the ground, on these rocks. You see it growing on this tree over here. It's beautiful. Oh, check that out. You even got a view of this. This is the Kittatinny mountain range out there. And over there is the Delaware Water Gap. So right out there is Mount Tammany. And that's a really popular spot for hiking. So cool. Great view of the edge of New Jersey. It's kind of crazy to imagine the size of like rocks like these that are out here. But it's all, you have to think about it. For like the ice age, when the water started to melt, that water force is incredibly strong. And then once that was melting and kind of flowing in our direction from Canada all the way south of the ice age that was thousands of years ago, these rocks were just flowing with it, and they're getting kind of told. They're like massive river movement. So it's time for a little folklore. So basically, why they call this Jenny Jump was because of a story about a girl named Jenny. She was supposedly up here at some point, probably in like the mid 1700s, around then, and she was like just playing around on the rocks up here with her family, and then suddenly she was startled by some Lenape Indians that were coming through, and supposedly she got so surprised that she started running, and her father yelled, "Jenny, jump," and literally she jumped off the cliff to her death. And sounds kind of morbid, but that's kind of how the name came. And supposedly people say that you could still see her ghost over the Great Meadows fogs, which if you look out here, you could still see all that sod farmland that fog rises over almost every morning, especially after it rains. Oh my goodness. This is quite steep here, so we're trying to make it down this trail. Donna is doing her best that we can. In the meantime, I'm looking at this Pileated Woodpecker hole. This is definitely Pileated Woodpecker, considering the size and also the shape. It looks quite rectangular compared to red bellies and downy woodpeckers that have a very circular hole. But yeah. So around here in what is now Hope Township used to be a big community of artisans and builders that were called the Moravians that moved from Pennsylvania to here. They were living here from 1769 for 40 years. But then there was a massive outbreak of smallpox that was a huge epidemic in that town and wiped out most of the population there. And due to the financial concerns and everything, with the very small population that they had left, they had to sell off the land. But still around here, there's certain limestone and wood ruins that are about here. I haven't seen them yet, but I'm hoping to see them soon. So, all right, so we pretty much went through the entire summit trail and went over the ridge, and now we're heading back down to the parking lot. So we're on our way to our next spot, another kind of isolated part of the park that's called Ghost Lake on Shades of Death Road. So we're on our way. Alrighty, so we are here on Shades of Death Road right here, which is possibly one of the most haunted places in Warren County. Shades of Death Road got its big name because it used to be the perfect place for highwaymen to hide in the rocks and the sides and in the deep shadowy woods, where they would steal people, stuff, and in turn kill them at the end. But there's a lot of stories that are behind this place. Shades of Death Road also was quite famous because of Ghost Lake, which we have right here. Lots of folklore behind it. The Lenape Indians that lived around here, there was a lot of settlers that came in and supposedly killed them and threw their bodies into the lake, which supposedly ghosts still hang out around here. So maybe we'll see them, maybe we won't. I don't know. I'm not into that sort of thing, so let's hope not. So there is still a lot of evidence that was found that the Lenapes were around here. In fact, up ahead, we're heading towards what's called the Fairy Hole, which supposedly was an encampment of where the Lenapes hung out. There were many artifacts found over there, and we're gonna check it out right now. And that is actually a beaver dam over there, and they're quite active here, especially during the night. Sometimes when I come out here in the evening, they're splashing around, alerting me while I'm fishing. But you can see here that some bite marks on there. They just kind of take the sticks and they just drag them all the way out there. A lot of bite marks on these. Almost every one is chewed. Anything's ripe for picking out here. They just chew on it. They use it for food. They use it for the structure of their dams. They seem to have taken a lot here. So these are some of my favorite fungi. These are called pear-shaped puffballs. And you can see these are the reproductive parts here. And they have such a cool thing. If you sometimes just brush over them a little bit, they just, look at that. Get really close on that. Those are spores, and they reproduce by the air, and usually that would naturally flow out. and just kind of get caught up in the wind and find a new spot for them to grow on. They really like this rotting log here, and they'll probably go off to another rotting log not too far away. Here it is, guys. We have the fairy hole filled with the mystical wonders. Well, now it's just filled with like cave crickets and stuff and cave animals, but not much other than that. It's quite deep. All right, we're all the way back here in the cave. Doesn't go too far. Seems like there's a big water seepage coming through the ground, making mini stalactites, which is when sediment is kind of running down the walls and kind of forms a structure on there. Goes pretty far back up. I don't see many cave crickets right now. Usually you find them a lot at night. There you have it, the fairy hole. I can hear very nice classic call of a redtail going on. Let's see if we can capture that. Oh, you hear that? That is a classic redtail. Is that plenty of movies, and they don't give the redtail credit. They play that for like eagles and falcons and stuff, but no credit to redtails. Shout out to the redtails. You guys are movie magic. Yep, there they are, just flying over the ridge. Looks like they're probably not too happy with one another. And that's how they communicate, with those angry shrieks. Alright, so I was just turning over rocks in this stream, and immediately I found what I was hoping to find. Is a nice looking little crayfish here. So cute, very tiny. Probably some bigger ones in here, but they're probably in the deeper crevices out there. Since these guys are probably medium tolerance when it comes to stream health, this stream is probably very good. I'm expecting that this is really high quality since it's directly spring fed from the mountains. But very good stream. We're gonna let this guy go. There you go, buddy. So as you can see, there's tons of life that's still active in these winter woodlands, just hiding out and looking for food in this harsh environment. So that's all I got for today. I hope you stick around. I'm going to be posting more videos on the winter wonders of wildlife out here. But until then, I've been Joe the Naturalist. I hope to see you out in the field. Oh, it's a really cold day, and it's just when you get rain falling and it freezes, it's sleet. So that's how it works. Little weather stuff, you know, even though that's not my thing. I'll leave that to the meteorologists.